Davis, broker in charge with Caron Realty. And today I want to expand further from my talk from last week, which is about how a seller can benefit from a pre-home inspection before they put their home on the market. And with that, I'd like to share the screen and take a look at the home inspection, and then go over line item here as to what you should spend your money on or not. What should you do? So I made a little legend up here: plumbing, yard work, handyman, painter. I've got plumber and electricians. And so what do? You want to have the best first impression when you sell your home. And you know that the buyer, they're going to be looking at your home, and if they find too many things when they come to view it, they're going to pass and go somewhere else. So you want to make it look nice and clean and neat, just for the showings. But then when you get an offer and they finally get to the home inspection, the home inspector will make a list just like this, and you want to have as few things as possible. If it's too overwhelming, it's likely that the buyer will cancel. So you want to make this a small list. So what do you do though? So some of the things, like right here, the first one here, noted concrete driveway is steep with a few potholes. Well, they took pictures of it, and it's not really a pothole, it's a crack, and it's cement. So we passed on that. So some of these things are just notations by the home inspector. There's a tree stump in the yard. We left that. That's garden stuff. I don't know. Trimming trees. Well, there were a lot of branches that were touching the roof and abrading it, and it was wearing and getting thin. So really have to keep the branches off the house. It takes paint right off too. It's swaying in the wind and scraping. So that's easy though. You just get the yard guy to do that as part of his normal stuff. So that really has no cost. But the yard man needs to be told to cut that away. Here's handyman thing. Noted cottage entry steps appear rotten, wood to earth contact. So rotten stairway, that's a safety issue. That's not good. So we had them replaced. Very easy fix. Get new wood, cut it to size, prime it, paint it, seal it, and we're done. So did that. Talk about, so this one house, we had sprinklers, we had contractors, we had painters, we had plumbers, electricians, the yard guys to do extra large clearing, trim it all up, and then we did staging. So we had all of these people descend on the house. For the contractor, we had a leveling problem. That the house was an inch slope on it over the 40-50 years since it had been built. So not bad. It's post-imperial construction, and we had the guys descend on the house. They jacked it up an inch, leveled it, made sure that it was level side to side, and then front to back, and it was done in a day. Seemingly a big job, but really not. And then you don't have people coming in the house and say, "Ooh, this seems sloping." You don't want to have that kind of thing, because that makes people think it's falling down the mountain. So, electric and plumbing, pretty much you want to get everything done that is noted for plumbing and electric. You can't have anything leaking. That's just not a good idea, no matter what. And electric, that's scary. You want to get everything fixed electrical. You don't want to have any issues with electrical things. So contractors, plumbers, electricians, and then this was interesting. There was a rafter up on the under the roof that was exposed from the lanai that appeared to be completely rotted, and it was black, had algae, black algae growing all over it. And I watched our staff and friends that we had over as we were doing this process come, and I watched them look at that rafter. And I knew from what they were doing was what buyers would be doing when they were going to be looking at the house to purchase. So everyone looked at it, 100%. Everyone looked at that rotted rafter up above your head. And so we just made a decision we had to get it fixed. It was worth it because you don't want to have a rotten roof. And so we cleaned it first with Clorox to prepare it, and realized it wasn't rotten. It was just algae growing all over it. But it left a stain, so we couldn't clean it. So then we had to paint it. And you couldn't just paint that. So you had to paint everything. It would never have matched. So we ended up painting the whole house. And it was a good thing to do that. It was money well spent. Seller got their money's worth and more, because then the house looks fresh, completely clean, no smudges, no algae growth elsewhere, mold, mildew, all that sort of thing. Just made the house look really good. And that's good for another 10, 15 years or so. So that was worth it. And we couldn't have something that looked like rotted rafters as you walk around the house. So that was good. And then handymen, you have them come and fix screens that are torn or not close enough, so there's holes so mosquitoes can get in. You want to get all of those kind of things done. The front door had a screen door and it was all rusted, so that was taken off and replaced. Things like that. So this list here that we're looking at is the main punch list, and then you give this punch list to each person, the electrician, plumber, handyman, and then they just go through. You get authorization from the owner, the seller, as to which things they want to spend their money on, and we get quotes because they have the marching orders right there, and they can go and look and say, oh, this will cost X number of dollars, and then we get the green light from the owner, and then they spend the money getting the things fixed. So you're looking at a couple of weeks of lead time to get these things done too, especially if you're going to get quotes for every item. So you get the listing signed, you get all these handymen and experts going in there to price it, and then they have to queue up on their available dates to go in and do the repairs. And it's quite a task organizing all of these things to get them all done. And then when that's all done, we take professional photos of the home and video, especially videos now with the COVID, so that we can send that to people to preview before they come to the house. And the next step was staging. That was the last step, was to get items in there, things in the bathroom, towels, and things in the kitchen. We put beds and furniture in the living room and made it very appealing. I believe we had some, let me share the screen one more time. My share screen is gone. Here it is. Down here, this gives an idea of before and after, plain Jane to a nice looking home. So this particular home probably would have sold in the 900 range if it was left as is, and ended up being sold for about 1.2 million with a multiple offer bidding war on the home. Amazing. And that was this year. So I think the $300,000 premium for having it fixed up was well worth the $30,000 to $40,000 that the owner spent to get it there. So, and that's a big out-of-pocket expense and a big risk, but it worked out really well. So that's essentially the process that you have to go over and think about when you're preparing your home to sell it, and if you can do that, the benefit that you could reap on doing these things. Okay, and so that's the topic, and then the background is I just want to let you know, Angus and I went on another scuba dive last Sunday, and we went to another sunken boat. This one had two sunken boats next to each other. I didn't realize there were so many of these sunken ships off of Waikiki, but the government sunk these things to add more things for people to see, for the submarines to go around, for the tourists, and for dives, and for fish aggregation. There's a lot of fish that swim around here. We didn't see any big ones, mostly just the small things. That's Angus in the front, and that's me doing an airplane in the back. And it was they clean the boats up, they take all the wires out, they put holes in the sides of the ship so you can swim in. Kind of creepy, but you can swim inside. Hopefully there's nothing big swimming in there either. And this was about 80 to 100 feet down, and raging current on Sunday, really strong. And in fact, we had two people kind of panicked down there. They were out of air. I had like Angus and I both had about 2,000 pounds of air, and they had nothing. So it was a race to get their buddy to give them extra air from their tank and to take them up to the surface right away. I liked it. It was enjoyable. I like new things anyway, so that was the fun part for me. But it's kind of daunting looking at these big boats underwater looming at you, and you can see how it just kind of fades away in the background. Well, there you have it. I hope this was of use to you, and hope to see you next week. Aloha.